When I say your name, when I say your jurisdiction and name, please respond with your name and saying yes, that you are here at the meeting. Carlsbad PD, Chief Galucci.
I'm here.
Chula Vista PD, Chief Kennedy. Here. Coronado PD, Captain Jesus Ochoa.
Here.
El Cajon PD, Chief Moulton.
I am here.
Escondido PD, Chief Arso.
Here.
Thank you. La Mesa PD, Acting Chief Matt Nicholas.
I'm here.
National City PD, Jose Tellez.
Here.
Oceanside PD, Interim Chief Fred Armijo. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
You got it. I'm here.
Thank you. San Diego County District Attorney, Assistant. I'm not sure. Assistant Investigator Joe Cargill.
Here.
Thank you. San Diego County Probation Department, Deputy Chief Denise Huffines. Denise, are you here? Okay, I'll pass on that. San Diego Harbor Police Department, Chief Stainbrook.
Here.
San Diego PD Assistant Chief Sandra Albrechtson.
Here.
San Diego County Sheriff's Department Commander Dave Brown.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent.
Is there anyone that I have missed that wants to say they are here?
Katie Mugg is here for staff for Argus.
And Cindy Burke is here for staff also.
Greg Carter is also present, interim director.
Thank you.
Kendall Amridge with Argus Business Operations Manager.
Caroline Stevens with the Criminal Justice Division in Sandag.
Andy Keaton with the Criminal Justice Division of Sandag.
Okay, I think we're good to move on, Barbara Jean.
Yes.
Moving on, I would like to update the members and public on the process for both member and public comments. Today, some committee members are physically in attendance. If you are not using your computer, please state your name before speaking so we may recognize you for the record. The members that are attending virtually will use their cameras and we will take live public comments. Members are asked to turn on their cameras when they have a comment or question, and then I will recognize you, or you may raise your hand using the button on the toolbar to make a public comment. With that, let us start with item number 2, approval of meeting minutes from the November 4, 2020 meeting. If a member of the public would like to make a comment, please raise your hand now. Seeing none, are there any management committee member comments? If so, please turn your camera on or raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll make the motion, Roxana Kennedy, to approve.
Do I have a second?
Mike Moulton, second.
Okay, I have a motion and by Kennedy and a second by Moulton. I will ask the clerk to roll call, please. Barbara Jean?
Okay, thank you. Carlsbad PD,
Aye.
Chula Vista PD,
Aye.
Coronado PD,
Aye.
El Cajon PD,
Yes.
Escondido PD,
Aye.
La Mesa PD,
Aye.
National City PD,
Aye.
Oceanside PD,
Aye.
San Diego County District Attorney,
Aye.
San Diego County Probation Department, Deputy Chief Denise Huffines. Okay, thank you. San Diego Harbor PD, Chief Stainbrook.
Aye.
San Diego PD
Aye.
and San Diego County Sheriff's Department.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes, all in favor.
Thank you. Item 3 on our agenda today is public and member comments regarding any issues within the jurisdiction of Sandag that is not on the agenda. If a member of the public would like to comment, please raise your hand. Seeing none, moving on, would any management committee member like to make a comment? Please turn on your camera or raise your hand.
Chief Bellucci, I'd like to give an update on the director position.
Craig Carter, go ahead.
Chief, thank you very much. Just wanted to update the members that we conducted, we actually opened up the position in several months and received several very qualified applicants. Yesterday, we conducted interviews and narrowed down the search, and we're hoping to make an announcement shortly on that pick. But the process is going well, and we should have the individual in place within the next 4 weeks.
Thank you, Craig. Any further comments? Okay, moving on to item number 4 on our agenda is a report on the Public Safety Committee's meeting held on November 13, 2020. This report is from me. The last PSC meeting was held on November 13, 2020. Agenda items included Sandy Keaton, Criminal Justice Research Manager, presented an overview of a new criminal justice evaluation that has been added to the FY 2021 program budget due to new grant funding. Dr. Burke, Director of Research and Program Management, reported on drug use statistics among arrestee populations. More information about these statistics is available at sandag.org/SAM. Sam Sanford, Sandag, discussed target setting efforts and for performance management, Rule 1, which includes measures related to not bringing my glasses, fatalities and serious injuries on all public roads. Emily Holland, California Earthquake Early Warning Program, Governor's Office of Emergency Services, provided an overview of Earthquake Warning California Outreach Campaign, the country's first publicly available statewide warning system. There were no PSC meetings held in December 2020, January 2021, or February 2021. The next PSC meeting is scheduled for Friday, March 19, 2021. Are there any comments from members of the public regarding this report? Seeing none, are there any management committee member comments? Seeing none, moving on to agenda item number 5. Item number 5 on our agenda is the 2020 Argus accomplishments. Katie Mugg will be presenting this item. Katie?
Yes, sir. Just want to make sure that everybody can hear me.
You want to switch her? Okay.
Can everybody that's online hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you all for being here and online. I'm really glad to see some of your faces. Today's both Cindy, I think it's Sandy.
It's Sandy, yeah.
Okay, and I will be talking about our accomplishments through this challenging year. Next slide, please. So just to briefly highlight some of our larger scale projects that we accomplish, you all are aware that we spend a lot of time and effort getting NIBR certified, which the team is really proud of. We also have started the kickoff of CYBERS, which is California's version of NIBRS. We received a lot of grant funding, which was great. We're hopeful that the UASI grant for this upcoming year provides us some additional funding. We also developed and deployed both our ONS and Surfers applications version 2, and also deployed a couple of new mobile enhancements, including an eSite application and the DEX program. We transitioned to a virtual environment, which went really smoothly. I don't think we had any complaints from our users about any disruption of service, and also to a new director. Next slide, please. Okay, so I always like to recognize what the committees have done. Between the Business Working Group, Public Safety Committee, the NIBRS Group, and this committee, we successfully, as I said, transitioned to virtual meetings. You all approved the work plan and FY21 budget last April, I believe. A lot of the agencies spent, your staff spent a lot of time on NIBRS, and we are so thankful to the business working group for all of the effort that they put into this. We also approved you approved San Diego State University as a contributing member. Next slide, please. Just to highlight where we're at with members and users. Next. We calculate these at the end of the year, the authorized users, and they always fluctuate because some people are away, we've got new people. But this year, at the end of year, we had about 4,800 users. Again, we added San Diego State University. I think the number that I got last night was that they have so far contributed about 500 records since they became a contributing member agency. We initiated the assessment of, as we get more agencies requesting to be data contributing agencies, we kind of need to reassess their roles on this committee and on BWG. So we started talking about that at BWG in late December. Next slide, please. Next category is data sharing. Next, please. So this slide makes it look a little bit drastic, but just because of the access, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. But we did ingest about 200,000 less records than we did last year and in previous years. We've done some initial analysis as to why, and we'll be bringing this to the business working group. I'm sure COVID and the pandemic had a huge impact on everything. So we're contributing. Our thoughts are that kind of contributed to the decrease. Next slide, please. So as I said, we kind of dug into the numbers to see where we were less. We had a lot less bookings, I think 30,000 less bookings than last year. And a lot less citations, I think it was 200,000 last year. I can't spout the numbers like Dr. Burke can off the top of my head, but I think we had about 200,000 of those last year. And we'll further do some analysis again with the agencies as we continue just QAing our data, et cetera. Next, please. So I mentioned NIBRS. As you know, this project has been going on for a long time. But in August, we were certified, all of your agencies, on behalf of the FBI. So your agencies didn't have to go through this process, which saves a lot of time and money. And in December, we launched CYBRS, which we'll be coming back to this committee with presentations on as we move forward. Next. This is just an example of the FBI acceptance rate of the NIBRS incidents by agency for 2020. Since 2021 began, all of the numbers are now above 99%, which is fantastic. That is really good. And we have received a lot of positive feedback, as you can see from Chula Vista. We've never been called superheroes before, but I like that. So I can't decide which superhero I want to be yet. But we also, we couldn't have done it without your team again, your teams. Next slide, please. Okay, network and infrastructure, next. So I kind of, the way that I think about our network is that it's basically the backbone of ARGIS and of public safety in the region. And I think what a lot of folks and a lot of the public don't understand is that we provide access to our applications and through, here's the ARGIS network, and then to the ARGIS apps, but we also provide connectivity to the sheriff for a lot of your agencies and a lot of the 60 other agencies in the region, as well as the state. So really our network is the backbone. And I think we had above a 98% uptime this year. Next, please. This is a project that I'm actually really proud of. It may not be the most exciting project, but we initiated an assessment of our network and our security, just our infrastructure overall at Argus. We were able to negotiate this cost as a part of our MWITS fee, saving us all money. And essentially they came in, they got a hold of some of our servers. I mean, MWITS is all sworn and everything, and they ran a test of our vulnerabilities. They identified them in a nice report for us, and we started implementing them right away. So that is kind of eye-opening sometimes because everybody's going to have recommendations on how to fix, but it was a really good practice. And I recommend every agency do some sort of analysis on your security. They'll be conducting a follow-up assessment again in about, I think, 6 months to see how our vulnerabilities have been fixed and if we fixed everything correctly. Next, please. Help desk, we had a record high at 640 help desk tickets that we resolved this year thanks to our 24/7 help desk support. We send your agencies weekly logs about all tickets open, shut, anything major going on at Argus. We also started including the things that we're deploying in these weekly reports so that you know that we're fixing a certain bug or your agencies know that we're fixing a bug, we've worked on this, we've enhanced this. So I think those have been really beneficial just to a lot of the technical folks at your agencies just to see kind of what's going on at Argus. Next, please. Okay, this is, I think, the last category, applications and services. Next, please. So as you all know, we provide a lot of application services, tools, mobile devices, et cetera. And I'll highlight what the team thinks was the biggest accomplishments in this area. Next slide, please. So I'm not sure how familiar most of you are with Argus the web page, basically for law enforcement only, since you're chiefs, and I'm sure you're not looking at this all day. But this is our portal, and we got 2.2 million page views in 2020, which is a substantial amount. I actually got a really good success story this morning from I wish I had it with me, from Chula Vista and San Diego PD regarding one of the bolos that we post on this, that they were able to work together because they saw the bolo on our homepage and immediately recognized the person when they saw them down at the Chula Vista Marina, I believe it was. Next slide, please.
That's what I pay you to think about.
We continue to have high usage with all of our applications. Surfers, 500,000 this year, CopLink over 500,000. Cognos reporting, this is what your agencies use for NIBRS reports, went up by 2,000 reports, which is the biggest increase we've seen since we rolled out Cognos. Next slide, please. So Surfers, oh, I'm sorry that this is cut off. Essentially, if you don't know what Surfers is, it's our super query. It hits 30 different databases. We rewrote this from scratch in about 4 months, which was pretty amazing for our programming team. And we're continuing to enhance it. We've added a kind of enhanced reason for search, which we're seeing more of from the state coming down with, we need the reasons for search embedded into your queries, et cetera. This application is also replicated on our mobile application. So we tried to make them very similar so that if an officer is using a mobile app or they're using the desktop app, they are familiar with both. Next, please. ONS, we need to bring this back to this committee at some point and have a bigger discussion on ONS. But we did rewrite it this year. It has a very clean look. We've received pretty positive feedback on this. And again, we had to rewrite these applications because the software that was being used to support them wasn't going to be supported by Microsoft anymore. So we rewrote both applications from scratch this year, which was really big for our team. Next slide, please. CopLink. So you all approved, I think it was in September, us going to the cloud for CopLink. This is a big deal for the region. And we're working with the sheriff and DOJ to obtain the approvals needed. But from what I understand with this version is that it's like a Google search. It has that functionality where you can put in Katie Mug and it'll hit all of the nodes in the country. And then you can limit it really quickly. Our team has seen demos of it and really liked it. And we have some technical problems with the current version of CopLink. All of your agencies have. So we're hoping that this can resolve this. And this will be a big project for us next year as well. Even though we got approval this year and we signed the contract and the MOU to do this about 2 months ago, I want to say. Yes, 2 or 3. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll try to go quick because I know I'm taking up a lot of time. Be on the lookout. We had 16,000 more subscribers than last year. I was surprised at this just because all of our other numbers were low. Again, can't say enough about these. They go out and people receive them within seconds and identifications can be made really quickly. Next, please. Okay, mobile. So we had about 330,000 queries through Surfers this year, Surfers Mobile. About 20,000 barcode scans. That's the pre-population of the driver's license and the passport photos. In addition to supporting the 1,100 devices, I don't think people know that we also provide MDC support, and we did test 10 smartwatches. That was part of the UASI grant that we'll be following up with next year. We also are managing a lot of your agency's Verizon's accounts so that you don't have to enter into an agreement with Verizon. We handle that for you and we bill that for you. So we can't provide enough devices for you and for your agency and you wanted to procure some on your own, you can do that through us without having to execute a whole other Verizon contract and make payments. We handle that all for you as part of the program. Next. This is the eSites app. You're going to be hearing a lot about this. This is just an example of a print preview. So we're going to be, we developed the actual application. This is a huge project for Argus next year and for the new director to help us get cooperation from the courts so that they will accept electronic signatures. This is really, really critical. But we are going to be ready to go with that. And we have agencies who have agreed to start testing next month. I think it's Coronado, Escondido, and Oceanside. So those departments will be provided with a mobile printer and our app, and we want them to do some heavy testing and some comparison of what their regular citation would look like versus what their mobile citations will look like for testing purposes. Next. DEX, we can go quickly with this because we've talked about DEX a lot. We reallocated a lot of the money to the agencies so that they could procure their own DEX equipment, and we also bought test equipment and have met with about 4 agencies who are actively working on this project. Next. Training, we transitioned to virtual training this once the pandemic happened, and thanks to our trainer, Suzanne Sanderman, for being really proactive with this. So she, despite everything that was going on, she was able to hold 34 classes throughout the year and train 200 users. Next. And finally, I just wanted to thank my team for all of the work that they've done, because I don't think everybody truly understands all the work that we do. And as you know, we lost our director in January. So a huge thanks to Craig Carter for stepping in and filling in during that absence. I don't think our team would have done as well if we didn't have him helping with our transition. So just a shout out to the Argus team and to Craig, if he's still on the phone.
I'm still here, and Katie, I appreciate your comments, and I will tell you that the Argus team is an amazing group that does great work regardless of what director's in the position. So you all continue to make this thing work in the county. It's something that's looked at throughout the United States, and it's an awesome program, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the hard work the entire team does every day.
So that's it. I'm sorry if that was too long.
Oh, great.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Are there any comments from members of the public on item number 5? Are there any management committee member comments on item number 5? Seeing none, this is an information item. We're moving on to item number 6. Item number 6 on our agenda is an approval item for the 2021 Argus Annual Work Plan. Kendall Amridge will be presenting. Ken?
Good morning, members of the Chiefs and Sheriff's Management Committee and attendees this morning. My name is Ken Amridge. I'm the Business and Operations Manager at Argus, and thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'll be presenting on the 2021 Argus Work Plan, and for those people attending in person, you should have before you a copy in landscape. It's a 3-page sheet with the Argus 2021 Work Plan. Just a quick overview, you can reference this throughout our presentation. It shows there's a blue column in the center, which shows the ranking of projects. The top 10 are in blue on the list. And the scores and the individual agencies' votes, as voted on by the Business Working Group, are further listed to the right with agency abbreviation, and a description is there as well. So we can turn our attention to the PowerPoint now. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what is the Argus 2021 work plan? Basically, it's an overview of the projects that Argus will be working on in this calendar year. And it also provides an overview of where we're at. It also allows agencies to identify where they want to see their money best spent and their priorities for the region in terms of IT projects that Argus manages and works with. So it covers upgrades, applications, network enhancements, and that sort of thing. A minor caveat here is that Argus has a lot of work to do maintaining its system. And so the new items that are on this work plan are about 25% of the duties, but just maintaining these complex systems and applications takes up the majority of the work. So some projects have a tremendous demand on the workload, but we manage them best we can. Next slide, please. Thank you. This slide here basically will just kind of intro how we score those so that there's a fair and equitable distribution of the work amongst Argus staff. The point I would like to make here, though, if you can go to the next slide, is that we want to highlight how the projects were scored so that there's fairness across the board in terms of what's a priority for each agency. So 7 being the highest score, 1 being the lowest priority score. The Business Working Group, they were actually presented this back in December of 2020. And they had a chance to review it, and then they voted on approval and rated the scores, and then finally approved it on January 19th at the last BWG meeting, or that's the Business Working Group. And I'm proud to say we got scores from every agency participating, and that we really appreciate everyone's effort in reviewing these. So we used an average as well as a median score, and drawing upon my college statistics classes, median score, of course, if several agencies voted, or a few agencies voted that this was a priority, but maybe a couple voted for it as a low priority, those few agencies that felt it was a higher priority, it would still score out and be, you know, at the top of the score. So we looked at the median score, but in comparing the two numbers, average and median, they worked out to be about the same, and there wasn't too much difference. So we want to make sure that if something that a smaller agency felt was important, you know, or smaller agencies, that they could all have an equal vote and get their priorities met. So going forward, next slide, please. So what we will try to do is prioritize the highest ranking projects, but we plan to work on all of them. This year we have 19 projects that we presented, a few were consolidated from last year, and other ones were completed, we're proud to say. And so a handful of those projects scored higher. And so we'll be covering the highest ranking ones, the top 10 out of 19 today, but I'll just touch briefly on the others in the handout. Next slide, please. First slide here, I want to point out to the top under project details, that should be calendar year 21 tasks. We'll continue work on NIBRS, as mentioned earlier, in the accomplishments for last year. Again, this focus in calendar year 21 will focus on ensuring that the data is of the utmost quality. We address any errors, and then we'll be looking at training for the agencies, and then communicating that out to the region, and we'll have a public website, which we'll touch on. So next slide, please. So again, just spoke about the highest ranking project, NIBRS, vitally important for the region. The second part of that is tied into it, and that's the crime stats rewrite, and that's the application that's used for the reporting. And we want to make sure that when we want to provide a web portal for these stats to be readily available, and also include some mapping capabilities. So we'll move into that once we complete the first step, which is the data quality as well. So going on further, next slide. Third is the master charge code table upgrade, and that will basically consist of consolidating and updating the existing charge code tables so that it's so that it's consistent with the DOJ charge code tables. And so we have to ensure this so that the reporting to NIBRS and CYBRS is in sync and is going to function properly. Next slide, please. So again, first three projects were really focused on NIBRS and accurate reporting. I think that's a tremendous part of what we do at ARGIS. This project has to do with the court and citations interface, and no surprise here, but this is vital that we can improve the interface so that the data sent over to the courts on citations is accurate, and the errors are eliminated from that, and duplicate records are taken out. And we want to work to get our interface with citations and the courts for the citation system up and running properly, or continue to work properly, I should say. Next slide, please. This year at LPR is, we're really looking at closely at LPR. We want to both review the LPR policy, which is about 4 to 5 years old, see where it's at. I'm proud to say I reviewed in February 2020 a state of California auditor department's audit of LPR usage across the state, and comparing what we have in the region. I'm very proud to say that ARGIS fared well, and I've reported that up through SANDAG, and the region's done an excellent job in terms of maintaining its LPR integrity. So what we hope is to update our system to ensure that that data is maintained carefully, securely, and provide the best possible services we can for that vital data, which is outstanding for solving and addressing crime in the region. Next slide, please. COPLINK X. Katie Mugg already spoke briefly about COPLINK X. The next steps will be to test the current application and hopefully deploy that, and address how we'll handle the cloud-based component, and then phase out the existing COPLINK usage as well. And that's going to be a really fantastic project. That was rated fairly high after the reporting requirements in NIBRS, CYBRS, and so forth. So we're pleased to be announcing that. It continues to be a popular application for users, and very, very successful. Next slide, please. Mapping dashboard application. Actually, tomorrow we'll be presenting on this to the business working group. Our current mapping application, which is used predominantly by crime analysts across the region, is going to be unsupported. The software that it was developed under will be unsupported after November. So we have in our team a GIS analyst and other developers who have experience and knowledge working with mapping applications. We're going to be presenting options to all the agencies at Business Working Group to see if they want to go with a vendor-based solution. We want to continue with our current vendor, or we want to if we want to promote developing our own application and save costs for the region down the line, one that we can customize. And that came out again fairly high in the group of 19 tasks this year. Next slide. Cost model and membership structure. This came up with the business working group last year, and as Katie and Mike mentioned, San Diego State University Police were brought into the Argus group as a contributing member for data. We want to look at the various types of membership that we have, our membership structure. Right now we have contributing members who contribute data and participating members. So we'll look at how that works. And then our cost model, how we charge, so we can charge our agencies in a fair and equitable manner as we have been doing, and be in line with current budgetary demands, and ensure that we continue to keep the lights on, even though no one's at the building right now. Next slide, please. All right, e-citations. We're happy to say that we've got our mobile developer working on e-citations, and you can use your mobile device and a mobile printer to print out a citation. It will get an electronic signature from the violator and then print copies and automatically send those copies out to Records Division. Also, the next part of that will be developing an interface so that those citations will go directly to the court. And that will be the challenge for us, is developing that interface with the courts. But we're happy to say that we're working diligently on that, and we're testing. Next slide, please. Let's see, and we'll be looking at the new ONS policy. Actually, this is a group that I'm working on. We have our first very rough draft completed of an ONS policy, and at some point after it's gone through legal review, we will present it to Chiefs and Sheriffs Management Committee for review. Next slide, please. So again, please reference the list that's been provided to you of the work plan items. A couple very quick highlights. Katie mentioned the network security assessment. Also looking at our mobile devices and developing a regional plan for those. Looking at our new charters, technical and business working group charters, and enhancements to our applications, continuing enhancements to our ONS and Surfers applications, as well as developing SharePoint enhancements, such as the Be on the Lookout SharePoint site for out-of-county BOLs, which we've touched on briefly at a past Chiefs and Sheriffs Management Committee meeting. And so please take a moment to look at that. And so we'll be asking that the Chiefs and Sheriffs Management Committee review and vote for approval for the 2021 calendar year Argus work plan.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any comments from members of the public? Are there any comments from Management Committee members or discussion? Hearing none, this is an approval item. I need a motion and a second to approve the 2021 Argus work plan. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
So that's motion Kennedy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stainbrook. Barbara, please take roll.
Thank you. Carlsbad PD, Chief Gallucci.
Yes.
Chula Vista PD, Roxana Kennedy.
Yes.
Coronado PD, Captain Ochoa.
Yes.
El Cajon PD, Chief Moulton.
Yes.
Escondido PD, Chief Farso.
Yes.
La Mesa PD, Acting Chief Matt Nicholas.
Yes.
National City PD, Chief Tellez.
Yes.
Oceanside PD, Interim Chief Fred Armijo.
Yes.
San Diego County District Attorney, Assistant Investigator Joe Cargill.
Yes.
San Diego County Probation Department, Chief Leyva or Deputy Chief Huffines.
Yes. For Leyva.
Thank you so much. San Diego Harbor PD Chief Stainbrook.
Aye.
San Diego PD Assistant Chief Albertson.
Yes.
San Diego County Sheriff's Department Commander Dave Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. We all in the motion passed.
Thank you, Barbara. Item 7 on our agenda is the 2020 Criminal Justice Research Division Public Safety Accomplishments. Sandy Keaton will be presenting. Sandy?
Hi, everyone. I turned on my video. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Okay, I just can't see myself. All right, great. Well, thank you all for this opportunity to share the accomplishments for 2020. Harold, if you can hit the next one, please. So as you all are aware of, our major mission in our criminal justice research is to promote public safety and justice by informing citizens, practitioners, and policymakers through objective monitoring, accountability, and assessment. Next one, please. So even though we've been here for over 4 decades, our mission and also our core tasks have stayed the same. However, we have adapted along with everyone else to make sure that we are covering current issues. We've adapted how we disseminate information, and we are always, through our relationships with you all, making sure that we provide the information that is needed, that is current and timely. Next, please. So like everyone else in this past year, we also pivoted during COVID, and we had 6 or 7 meetings, went virtual. We had presentations from our members on timely topics, including the major transformations that are occurring in probation, drug Medi-Cal changes, as well as law enforcement's de-escalation policies, and MTS fair evasion and diversion program. Next, please. So as I alluded to earlier, we are always constantly trying to make sure we provide information in a way that is accessible and also very user-friendly to our constituents. And in 2020, we had these 2 info bits that were specific to COVID and how COVID is, could possibly and was possibly impacting public safety trends, as well as what we've all been concerned about is our mental health trends in the region. Next, please. Sorry. This is an example of our partnerships in the region. This is Cindy participating on a public, oh gosh, I forgot what those things are called. This is my brain, you know, a public announcement, and using our data in concert with the regional, other regional sources to provide a more complete presentation of the pictures and issues that concern us. Next, please. Again, we provide CJ flashes annually, and I mean, not annually, monthly. And these 2 CJ flashes show how we are able to use the crime data, which we would not be possible without our partnerships with you and also our partnership with ARGIS, and providing information that is not only looking back over the years, but also current trends as well, and trying to provide the most timely information possible. Next, please. New ways in which we are presenting this data is dividing and looking at the data by jurisdictions to provide not only the regional lens, but also provide information to you all, specifically to your constituents. Next, please. Another way in which we use the data that we have is by looking at through different lenses. And this one is, we looked at crime victims and some of the characteristics of crime victims and who is more at risk of being a crime victim. Next, please. Our public safety data is the only type of information in the region that that is put out there about the regional-wide public safety expenditures, and that data actually will be released in a couple of weeks. Next, please. As I noted before, is that we really try to keep our hand on the pulse of what kind of current trends or current concerns are out there. And this was an example of us looking at the increase in overdoses, especially with opioids and fentanyl that are occurring, that occurred in 2020 and continue, unfortunately, in 2021. Next. Another example is us working with our partners to provide valuable information. This came about as far as the marijuana use and providing specific information about marijuana, because several years ago we were fortunate enough to kind of tag along on with law enforcement. Craig Carter was part of this, and we went to Denver to explore how they adjusted to their passage of the legalization of marijuana. And one of the things that came out of that was a call for establishing baseline data prior to the passage. And so we quickly adapted some of the tools and measures that we use to gather that baseline data. And now we're able to track this data and this information over time to see quantitatively how the impact of Prop 64 is impacting the region. Next, please. Another example of us using the information also in concert with our partners is that we looked at crimes against elders as it pertains to COVID, since that was one of the major concerns at the beginning of the pandemic. And we also noted the DA's task force and their lens and their efforts to combat the scams that elders were susceptible to during this time. Next, please. I was particularly proud of this this info bit because it exemplified the relationships we have in the community. This was South Bay took it upon themselves and all the providers and nonprofits to talk to their participants, their clients, their community members about how they were being impacted by COVID. And then we were able to take that data, clean that data and present it in a way that was easily distributed. And this information continues to be used to leverage additional funds. In fact, I'm writing a grant with them now. We're calling upon the information that was gathered through this data, as well as I know we've had requests for other entities in that region that are seeking funds and using this information to inform funders of the needs of that community. Next, please. The second arm of our the CJ work are independent evaluations, but they're not distinct or separate from the clearinghouse. They're interwoven because it's based on relationships. It's also based on understanding of the crime data. And like I said, it's very much intertwined with our partnership on ARGIS and their expertise and skill in gathering all the crime and arrest data in the region. Our evaluations really do help leverage additional funds into the regions. We provide a range of services, both qualitative and quantitative process and impact evaluations, but we also do needs assessments. We try to tie in cost effectiveness when looking at information. And all of this information, again, then is pushed back out to the community, one, in very timely manners, and then two, also in ways in which are easily accessible and understood and understanding of the information. Next, please. Prop 47, here's an evaluation that we've been working on for a few years. And last year we were able to produce a 2-year report on Prop 47 funded programs. And we're looking forward next year in this 2021 to have the final report for everybody. Next, please. One of our roles in the past 2020 and also in 2019 has really been working closely with our partners in probation as they undertake a huge transformational endeavor with the juvenile justice system. And we have been supporting this process by providing deeper dives into specific programs, looking closer at who it is and what kids and children are using those services, what the impact of those services are. And then this information is shared with leadership so that they can make informed decisions. Next, please. This was just another example of us looking at factors that were contributing to detention and which youth were more at risk for being detained, as probation is in its partnerships really looking at reducing detention and serving youth and families in the community. Next, please. Prop Promise Neighborhood, this is an endeavor that's very near and dear to my heart. And this is a federally funded project, but it is South Bay SBCS is the lead administrator on this. And so this is actually their graph, but we are working closely with them as they wrap around various communities that have low performing schools to try to increase the youth and children in that those communities to attend college. Next, please. Another endeavor, this is an infographic that we produced in 2020. Staff working very closely with North County Lifeline as they are one of the leaders in addressing human trafficking in the region, which we know is a substantial issue in our region, as evident by the recent tragedy that happened yesterday. This infographic was one of the first ever done that actually kind of quantified programs targeting this population, providing services to this population. The state was actually very impressed with North County Lifeline producing this type of information. So we're excited about that partnership. Next, please. We're working closely with HIDA right now. I'm doing some formative research that will lead to outcome research on what the actual impacts are of all these legislative changes that have occurred, such as Prop 47, AB 109. What are the officers on the street seeing? What is law enforcement seeing that maybe the community and the public don't realize? This is really kind of what, yes, it's this, the legislation says, but this is actually what it looks like on the streets. So we completed and started the formative, completed it. Now we're going to be working on the outcome for 2021. Next, please. Sorry, Harold. So I'm excited about 2021. We have, of course, continuing the PSC meetings and providing support with timely topics of an interest. We're really looking forward to finalizing of two major evaluation projects, our Prop 47 and our STAR project, both for reentry. Continuing to work with our partners with the human trafficking and also Promise Neighborhoods. We're looking at grants that are targeting different neighborhoods that are in need. A big portion of our work this year will be helping with the transition to NIBRS reporting and how that information will be disseminated following the leadership of ARGIS. And of course, we're always seeking funding for evaluation of key topics. I believe that's it. Thank you. If there's any questions.
So this is Neil Galucci. I do have one question.
Sure.
Regarding the study about Prop 47, 64, and the effect it's having on officers to seat on street. Are we going to look at homelessness tied to those issues?
Yes, that came up big time in a formative evaluation. We held, Caroline, I think we held five focus groups with law enforcement officers. Caroline is actually the project manager on that. And that was a central piece of information that is very clearly seen as an outcome. So yes, we are.
And then one more question regarding that also. Are we going to look at the efficacy of our mental health system in San Diego County is related to those issues also?
Big question, small answer is we're going to look at the perspective of what individuals think that efficacy is, but this study does not actually go into that specific research question.
Okay, I appreciate the research. Are there any comments from members of the public on this item?
I see no comments.
Thank you, Barbara. Any discussion from committee members or questions from committee members? Seeing none, we're going to move on to item 8, and then item 8 and item 9 on our agenda. Item 8 is the public safety expenditures for FY 19 and 20. And then item 9 is the business working group update. Because we had a packed agenda today, we're running out of time. We're going to move item 8 and item 9 to a future agenda. Is there any objection to that? Okay, So those will be on the next agenda, and the next management committee meeting will be April 7, 2021 at 9:45 a.m. Any final comments from anyone? Okay, we're adjourned.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.